Everybody, welcome to Gettin Blitzed.
Gettin Blitzed.
I'm Danny.
I'm Ben.
We got, of course, our esteemed colleague Jonathan Davis here. Hey, say hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
We got Chad Stewart here. What's up, John?
Hey!
And we got Chris Smith here, making his first official appearance on Gettin Blitzed. What's up, Chris?
What's up, guys?
He's our resident fantasy guy.
Yeah, a lot of people here on mic tonight. Cool. I just want to start out. I forgot to mention this.
Well, this is going.
I forgot to mention this a couple episodes ago. If you guys say we have no credibility, a bunch of random dudes talking about football, yeah, and plus we get drunk, yeah, yada yada yada. No, an acquaintance of mine offered me the position to be his offensive coordinator for his flag football team. So we got cred here at Gettin Blitzed. This is a real thing.
That's what does it.
Yes, this is a real
Now
thing.
everyone listens like, oh, I'm going to go back and listen to those past episodes because now they have credibility.
Yes. Almost official offensive coordinator for a flag football team. So let me just
Let's get a round of applause.
Watch out, guys.
Congratulations. That's very exciting.
Another thing here, moving on. Let me just throw this out here. Do any of you know who the number one seed in the NFL is? Combining both conferences together, who's the number one seed?
Seattle Seahawks.
Chargers?
San Diego Chargers.
The Dallas Cowboys are the number one seed. Ben's standing up. Again, that's applause, not head banging against the wall. Can you guys fucking believe that?
I'm really surprised. And why is that?
I don't know what tiebreaker they have over the Chargers or the Eagles.
Conference record?
Something
probably?
like that.
Something
But,
like that?
I mean, obviously, it doesn't mean much.
Divisional record?
Yeah, but,
Because in the division, I don't think they're even number one.
all right, everybody, let's do the news.
The news.
Then let's eat a little bit of crow here. Cincinnati at New England. We talked a lot of shit about New England last episode, and then they fucking blew them out.
All right, let's also put it in perspective. Obviously, we have Cody, but we weren't saying New England sucks. I think I even said at least once during that segment, I think they still win the East. I wasn't saying, none of us were saying they're terrible. We were saying they have issues. And if you look at that game, most of the issues we talked about, they rectified. So I'm not saying we deserve credit for that, but we probably deserve credit for that.
Back to their two tight end offense instead of crazy like 3 wide, whatever, 3 on 1 or 5 spread coverage.
Yeah, and one of the main things I said was that Edelman should not be the cornerstone of that offense. And you look at that game, and he wasn't. He didn't have that many targets. He certainly didn't produce much. They weren't counting on him. They were counting on Gronk, Tim Wright, and the running game. And that's not, we didn't talk. And look, the thing I've been saying for weeks, that we've all been saying for weeks, is that offensive line's terrible. That offensive line stepped up. So I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain that for the rest of the season. I still don't think it's a very good offensive line, but they played very well in that game.
I think Buffalo's going to give them a hell of a time.
Yeah, I think Buffalo wins that game. I think they start Buffalo.
Yeah. Cleveland at Tennessee.
What a game. What a great game.
Our favorite gatekeeper team decides to get down by 3,000 and then come back.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the Browns on this podcast. I think since week 1 we have. And I don't feel like we've talked too much about them. They've been a really exciting team every week, have they not? Every single game has been close. Every single game has been impressive for the Browns. There hasn't been a single game where you walk away from there thinking Browns have serious issues. So I think we should talk. I think they're almost the most exciting team in the league. Not because they're so good, but their games are just fun to watch.
Wasn't that the biggest comeback in NFL history or something like that?
For a road team.
For a road team.
Biggest comeback. Yes. And who led it? Was it a Michigan State Spartan?
Oh, yeah. Give a shit about that bullshit. The New York Jets at San Diego. Here's why I bring this up.
Yeah.
Not because, they blew them out, goose egg. I'm fucking scared of the Chargers now, man.
I think every team in the league is scared of the Chargers.
The Chargers are fucking legit. We brought them up briefly when we talking about gatekeeper teams. Like, no, they're not a gatekeeper. They're a good team. They're not a good team. They're a fucking great team.
Yeah, and I still think they have holes that will be
what are their holes
eventually, but I still think they're a top 5 team.
Well, I'm not saying they don't have them, but what do you think? What are their holes?
Isn't it running back? I mean,
to some extent.
That Auburn kid's balling out, man. Look, running back.
What string center are they starting this week? 3rd, 4th?
All right.
Is that
important?
I also think that defense is overperforming, just like Dallas's is. I think they're similar in that sense. That defense is not as good as they're looking.
They are the number 3 total defense.
But I also don't want this to come off as me hating on the Chargers. I agree. The Chargers are a great team. I'm just saying, right now they look like the best team in the league. I'm not convinced of that yet.
No one's saying that, like, hold on.
I'm not buying.
We're not saying they're the best team in the league. That's
not what I said. I said right now they look like they're the best team in the league, and I'm not. I don't think that's true yet.
I'm not buying.
I like Oliver this week.
I love, Brandon Oliver. Yeah, what did he? How many yards did he have last week? 270, something like that.
I'm gonna make a.
I was on that much.
I was on the Oliver bandwagon 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna make a prediction. He doesn't come anywhere near his expectations this week, because that's the way shit always happens. Whenever you think, oh, he's got a great matchup, he did great last week, he's gonna be great. He's gonna suck this week.
We got to remember it's Oakland.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. Who else do they have to give carries to? They have Sean Drone, and they just re-signed Ronnie Brown. Oliver's getting 25 carries in that game at least, maybe 30.
There's every reason to believe he'll blow up. I bet he doesn't.
It is the curse of getting blitzed.
We are doing a little foreshadowing here for a segment we're going to do later, but let's get back to the football aspect of it.
Yeah.
Can they take the West? Can they topple the Broncos?
To be fair, Dave Damashek called this 2 months ago. Just to give credit to Dave Damashek, one of our NFL heroes. So, can they?
Hold on. Who's a friend of his on Facebook? Raise your hand. Anyone in?
There are 3 hands raised.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's 4.
So
is he actually your friend?
Again, we're legitimate.
Okay. Who actually get a message from him on Facebook? How many more hands? No, that's a lie. There's only 1 hand.
This is all being cut out because no one knows who the fuck Dave Damashek is.
Yeah, it could be his PR staff or something.
No, it's him.
No, it's legit. It is legit. But no,
it is him.
Can the Chargers win the West? I think yes. I don't think it's because they're a better team than the Broncos. It's because they have an easier schedule than the Broncos, and I think they'll split with the Broncos, and that will make the difference. The schedule's easier.
They split. And
they'll split, and they have an easier schedule.
They play the number 2 teams instead of the number 1.
And
that's only 2 games.
That's a big difference. No, they play the number 3 teams.
I know they're really
Chiefs
good.
were second.
Oh shit! That's only 2 games though.
It makes a difference.
That's true. 1 game makes a difference.
Okay, get on that, dude.
Chad's got a news story for us. Chad?
Yes. How about the Buffalo at Detroit game with the laser pointer? Did anybody see that?
Yes.
Very interesting.
This is what happen when we give our guests the ability to bring news stories. Laser pointers. This is what
I didn't hear about this.
We need a human interest piece. This is good. So fluffy.
Johnny hasn't heard about this. Give him the rundown, Chad.
Okay, well, apparently a fan had a laser pointer and was pointing it at Buffalo players during the game.
In their eyeballs?
In their eyeballs.
Yeah.
It's a green laser. And you can clearly see it.
Yeah, specifically, I think the
green one's more powerful.
Dan Carpenter, the kicker, and Kyle Orton, right?
Exactly.
Basically trying to mess people up during
the play of the game.
Orton when he's taking a snap, and the kicker when he's
What's that say about Detroit? At home, still loses to Buffalo, even with lasers.
Exactly.
What does that say about Detroit? They're not good anymore. What's going on?
No. Where Megatron didn't play in that game, essentially. I mean, he played a little bit, but essentially he did not play in that game. We all knew, everyone that follows football at all knows, Detroit lives and dies by Megatron. And there's no question about that.
Stafford first, then Megatron.
No.
Yes.
No, Megatron.
I would rather Orlovsky at quarterback and Megatron at wide receiver.
Orlovsky throwing to Megatron is better than Matt Stafford throwing to
Golden Tate.
Golden Tate this year.
The Golden Tate and maybe a Keenan Allen or something, whatever, somebody else serviceable. I'm saying
they don't have anyone else serviceable. That's the whole point. Who? Ryan Broyles, Chris Durham, these guys, Titus Young, all these
they
scrubs.
don't have Durham anymore.
I know. I'm just saying all these scrubs that have been there.
Ebron.
Yeah. So Megatron is as Damashek. It's just a Damashek tribute podcast. He calls him the Jenga piece. That's actually right.
No,
Megatron is the Jenga piece.
I think Stafford's the Jenga piece.
No, you're wrong.
No, it's Megatron.
He's definitely not the Jenga piece in Denver. He's definitely not in Denver. I'll guarantee that.
Did I say Denver?
Yes, you did.
He might be in Detroit. No, I disagree. When have we ever seen it? I mean, I guess was a few years ago when Stafford got hurt and missed a few games. But that's not the same. Megatron is that offense.
I like the Onion's take on the stardom sit-em for fantasy for Megatron. Says sit him. He hasn't got back to 100% of his strength of 4 men.
That was pretty great.
That is clever.
Chad, you brought up this stupid story for some reason. You want to have something to say about it?
I'm just bringing awareness to this crazy laser pointer story.
Well, the guy got suspended or banned indefinitely from Ford Field.
Right.
How'd they catch him?
That's a good question.
I believe he had a Twitter account and he posted about it.
He live tweeted the whole event.
Yeah. He tweeted that he fucking claimed that he was responsible.
Which
for
goes back to what we all
And then he
know.
fucking deleted his account, but
Detroit fans aren't very smart.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Again.
I would rather say maybe it was just angry Bills fans and they were just trying to get back because they were shitty teams.
Oh, whoa! This is the hot take we were waiting for. He fucking slept on this. And I just want to bring out the story. He's indicting Bills fans, sabotaging their own team, driving all the way to Detroit to sabotage their own
This is the
team.
worst news segment I've ever done on Gettin' Blitzed. Again, this is the type of hard-hitting analysis you get
On Blitz.
What is this called again?
Okay.
Yeah. The Blitz one.
Blitz.
All right.
Yeah.
Chris Smith is in our opinion, our resident fantasy expert.
Yeah. And I consider myself a fantasy guy. Jonathan does. Chad might, but he no.
Hey, come on!
Chris Smith is legitimately the best fantasy player I know. He's having a rough year, which we'll talk about later, but
all right.
But who beat him? Who beat Chris Smith?
Wait, I want to say something. In my opinion,
this year,
everybody who's a good fantasy player is having a terrible year because nothing happened to our expectations, and that's what we're going to touch on.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Johnny hit it right in the head. Let's talk about that. Apparently, the first round of everyone's fantasy draft sucked. It's a bust.
For the most part. And absolutely. Where it was one of those years, and we had this last year a little bit, and everybody said that's just an anomaly. Let's not read too much into that because last year you had C.J. Spiller bust, and you had all these guys, Doug Martin, Arian Foster.
But this year it was like guys that we thought were can't miss, like LaShawn McCoy.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about. So let's start with LaShawn McCoy. I know in a lot of drafts he went first overall. If I ever got a first pick in a fantasy draft, which I never do, I would have taken LaShawn McCoy.
Absolutely.
What do we think of LaShawn McCoy this season?
It's his offensive line. Apparently, they just can't open anything up for him.
Yep. And that's fair. Let's say about in the future. Where would we rank LaShawn McCoy for the rest of the season?
Honestly, I thought St. Louis was going to be his bounce back game, and it absolutely wasn't. I don't know what to think now. Chris Smith, what do you think?
I like him in fantasy this week.
Yeah? Who are they playing out of the
Rest of the season. We're talking about rest of the season.
But you think this could be his kind of his bounce back game? Maybe he gets back on track this week?
Yeah, I think he will get back on track this week.
I tend to agree. I think in the leagues I'm in, I don't have LaShawn McCoy in any of them. I think he's almost a buy low. It's a risky buy low. It's the kind of guy, if you trade for him right now, you get him cheap. Maybe he works out, maybe he doesn't. But if you get him cheap.
I own him in a league, and I'm only thanking God that I don't have Adrian Peterson.
Which is another one. And again, in a lot of leagues, he went first overall. He always went in the top 3, no matter what league it was, I would say. And, we don't need to go too deep into that. Everybody knows what's going on with that. But, again, another huge bust in fantasy. Who else do we got?
Okay, one that is probably a buy low, maybe a kind of buy low, is Jamal Charles, who was usually in top 3.
I don't think he's a buy low anymore. I think 2 weeks ago he's a buy
Yeah.
low. I think I tried to buy him low off of you. Didn't work out.
Well, I think the rest of his season's probably going to be fine.
No, I think he'll be exactly what we expected him to be at this point.
What are some guys that went first round that people are dropping? Like AP, of course.
Adrian Peterson,
for other reasons. Is there anyone else?
I don't think anyone's ready. Because, again, you got to think in fantasy, when you draft someone first round, your whole team's kind of based on that pick. And so you're not dropping him unless if you think there's any hope. Like LaShawn McCoy. If his name was, I can't think of an example. If he was the if he was Maurice Jones-Drew with those stats, and you drafted him in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, he would have been dropped by now.
Like Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith's been dropped in a lot of leagues.
But that's not a first rounder.
No, but that's a pretty high pick.
But my point is when you draft someone in the first round, it takes a lot to drop them.
All right, maybe not drop, but people thinking about trading, trying to
sitting them. A lot of those guys you sit them for a while.
Let's go through it.
Go through it.
Jimmy Graham, Jonathan traded him a couple weeks ago. I still think he's good. The injury worries me. I don't think he's first round talent. I think I spent a first round pick on him. I'm not saying I regret it because I'd rather have him than a lot of those guys in the first round. But
He wants to talk.
there are problems.
I'm just worried about that whole offense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not so much Jimmy Graham's fault. I don't feel like Jimmy Graham isn't playing well.
Yeah.
I feel like the Saints aren't playing well.
Right.
And that's affecting Jimmy Graham. Look, he still had a 3-touchdown game against Cleveland, something like that. He had a huge game. So I'm not ready to say he's bad, but if you were redrafting today, would you take him in the first round?
Absolutely not. You would take Julius Thomas there.
Exactly. Julius Thomas is a guy who was drafted in maybe the third. I got him in the third in the league. He probably went later than that in some leagues. I think he's a no-question first round. If you were redrafting today, you would take Julius Thomas around 7, 8.
And it should be pointed out, if you're redrafting today, you take DeMarco Murray first pick, no question.
Hey, let's talk
Marshawn
about,
Lynch maybe second.
yeah, let's do it then. If you're redrafting today.
DeMarco Murray's first pick and
Marshawn Lynch maybe second.
Marshawn Lynch maybe second,
All right,
and then Arian Foster.
Go up to
probably
10.
Third.
I'm still look. Remember, the big concern with Arian Foster was not how is he going to start the season. It's when is he going to end the season.
Right.
He's already had an injury.
I think Foster's a top 5.
I think that's
fantasy
fair.
The rest of the way.
I think Foster. The worry with Foster is still the injuries.
So Forte's
he's
in
gotta
there
stay
in that
healthy.
discussion of top 5.
But I agree. If Foster stays healthy for the rest of the year, he's top 5, no question. No question. But yeah, Forte, he had a slow start, but at this point, I think we all feel like if we draft him, and I did in a couple leagues, he went where he should have gone.
Right.
He's going to be a top 3, top 4 running back the rest of the season, I think.
Jordy Nelson probably breaks into the top 10.
Yeah, which I've always been a big Jordan Nelson fan, particularly in fantasy, but even just in the NFL. I think he's vastly underrated.
Here's a question: Does Andrew Luck go ahead of
White
Peyton
chocolate.
Manning? Does Andrew Luck go ahead of Peyton Manning?
That's a great question. Let's just go around for the 4 fantasy players we have in the room. Let's go around and say if you had a pick, and let's say the 2 best players sitting there were Peyton and Andrew Luck. Which one do you pick, Jonathan? You can go first.
I think I'm still going Peyton.
Chad,
I'd go Luck.
Fuck you.
Chris Smith.
Peyton, definitely.
I'd go Peyton too, but I would never. If I was in a draft and someone took Luck over Peyton, I would not have anything to say about it.
All right, let's have our dissension here. Defend his point here. Why Luck over Peyton?
Well, he's already has the top fantasy points currently, and if you go back to the previous projections, he's expected to blow up this year versus Peyton.
I think that's fair. I think the biggest thing with Luck, it's still early in the season.
What you like to see is the way they just poured it on the Jags. I mean, they just poured it on them, and that's what you want to see from your fantasy.
It reminds me of Aaron Rodgers in 2011 when he had the MVP season. He couldn't throw less than 3 touchdowns a game. He didn't know how
and
to.
was even running some.
They could be up 50-0 and he still was wanting to throw it, you know? And it helps that Indy keeps thinking Trent Richardson is a running back, which I think he's probably more like I don't want to get mean, but we call him slowing the hesitation around these parts. But exactly. The point is they get on the goal line. If they have Richardson in and they hand it off to him on first and goal, he doesn't get in. And what do they do on second and goal? They throw the ball. Whether they throw it to Richardson or Bradshaw or Kobe Fleener or Dwayne Allen.
Richardson did get in last night.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not saying he'll never do it. But it reminds me of 2011 Aaron Rodgers when they were handing it off to, who was it, Ryan Grant, and just guys that can't get in the end zone. And that's in fantasy, there's nothing you want more than to have a quarterback that's on a really good offense with a really shitty running game. Because they have to throw it. Doesn't matter how much they're off. They're up. They have to throw it.
Well, at this point, Peyton may have that.
That's fair. And that's absolutely fair, which is why it's close. And like I already said, I'd take Peyton over Luck. But yeah,
it's
that's why those are the 2 guys.
The point we're trying to make is it's way closer than anyone would have thought before the season.
Because where did Luck go? I mean, maybe he went 2nd round, 3rd round at earliest.
Like 5th quarterback taken in a lot of leagues after Breeze and Stafford.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
right.
Rodgers.
And wouldn't you, no question, take him over Breeze and Stafford at this point?
Absolutely.
Maybe Rodgers, it's a little closer, but I still think I'd take Luck.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's interesting. And that's kind of the point is that if you look back at the first round, Megatron went in the first round. Would you take him in the first round at this point? I don't think you can. With the injury, with everything else, I don't see how you can take him.
A really good point that can be made is that you would have been better off to have the last pick in the draft and just do auto draft. You'd probably be a better team right now.
It's ridiculous, but yeah, to go into the point that at the end of the day, and fantasy experts, quote unquote, will admit this, at the end of the day, nobody knows anything. It's only making predictions. And look, you can't predict the Adrian Peterson. You can't blame anyone for ranking Adrian Peterson number 1.
Or even Ray Rice.
Yeah. And no one can predict that. We didn't know anything about Adrian Peterson, his legal troubles before that.
Yeah,
so
it
no
was
one
a
could blame
total
that.
shock when it came out.
Yeah, so you can't blame that. LaShawn McCoy, we didn't know his offensive line was all going to get hurt or suspended. We didn't know that. So, there's still...
And with Jamal, we didn't know that his coach was going to just not give him carries in 2 games.
Yeah, that was one game he got hurt in the second.
Well, the last game he didn't get very many.
Yeah, that's fair. I think they wanted to focus on Alex Smith because he was playing the Niners. And I think that's okay. I still think Jamal Charles is no question a top 3 pick. I think no question. Maybe top 5 at
Top
least.
5, yeah.
Just because DeMarco Murray's emerged so much.
I think he could be a top 3.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I would take him in the top 3.
Okay, we have a brand new segment we can do here on Gettin Blitzed. It's called Football or Fiction.
Football or fiction?
I'm going to name a name. And
You're going to name a name.
yes.
You're going to name names?
And
You're going to point fingers?
You'll be swimming with the fishes for that.
And April Davis here, who knows almost nothing about football. How much do you know about football?
Very little about NFL.
She knows about the game of football. She doesn't know a lot of current players.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know current.
We're
She
gonna
actually,
take-
she actually taught me about football.
We're gonna take someone.
I did.
We're gonna take someone who's not a football nerd like we are, and give him this little quiz. Okay?
And tell them what the quiz is.
Oh, it's either gonna be either a football player or a fictional character.
Yeah.
Name.
Name. Okay? Here we go. We're gonna do lightning rounds. You get 5 seconds on each name. James Jones.
Fictional.
Wrong. Kane Marco.
Football.
Wrong. Captain Munnerlin.
Fiction.
Wrong. Scott Summers.
Fiction.
Right. Hal Jordan.
Football.
Wrong. Buster Screen.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Football.
Zoltan Mesko.
Football.
I think he's catching on.
Steve Smith.
Football.
That's 3 in a row.
Wesley Crusher.
Fiction.
Damn it, she did that one.
Rick Decker.
Fiction.
Right.
That's 5 in a row.
Prince Amukamura.
Fiction.
Wrong.
Oh, that's okay.
That's it.
That's fine. That's good. That's 6 out of 10. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn
6?
good.
6 out of 10?
That was 6 out of 10.
Wait,
Okay.
6 out of 10 that I got right?
Yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's
that's a
a 5
60%.
correct
I made a
streak.
D.
Right.
That's pretty damn good.
We're going to have some other
Let's
people
go.
in here and keep a tally, and the winner will get
For the-
nothing probably.
Probably.
I don't know my team.
That's
I'm going to be
alright.
honest. I'm not sure I could have done better than that.
I knew most, so I didn't know Kane Marco. I'll let
Wesley
that one
Crusher, really?
Sorry, I didn't know you watch Star Trek.
out.
Okay, thank you to
Yes, you
Johnny,
did.
and
We talked
April,
about that at
Chad,
his birthday,
Chris
that
Smith,
big Star Trek
girlfriend
thing.
Lee is here in the audience, and for Ben,
The solo
for
audience.
listening to Gettin Blitzed.
And just thank us for listening.
No, he said thank you for us. He thought the audience for us.
All right, keep us.
Gettin Blitzed.